Larson. I'm your hostess tonight, and I am supporting Owen, and I wanted to give you a couple of reasons why. I describe myself as practically liberal, and what that means to me is that I'm practical and liberal. And I actually work for the oil and gas industry. I'm going to just put that out there. If any of those topics come up this evening, I can lend some information. But Owen is a thinking person. He is like me. He likes to really analyze the issues, try to look at both sides, try to accommodate both sides, and I'm very much that same way. So that was appealing to me. Owen is also very appealing to me as a candidate because he is the hardest working, hardest volunteer in House District 2 that I've ever seen. And the reason I got to know him is because my fellow precinct committee person, Annabeth, doesn't like to walk the neighborhood, but she and her husband, they live next door, are both Colorado College graduates. And one day, Owen, who does like to walk the neighborhood, came out with me, and I found out that he too is a Colorado College graduate. So, yes, so there's all these connections that when you get to know somebody, you come to know them and love them. And that's why I'm supporting Owen, because I think he really knows the issues about our House district, and he will be such a hard worker for us at the State House. And then, just real briefly, I would like to introduce my other very close friend here tonight, Kendra Black. Kendra Black is running for City Council. Now, I don't want to disrupt the fact that Owen is the bride tonight and Kendra is the bridesmaid, but I want you guys to know her, and we'll try to host have another party or something else in the neighborhood to you know, advantage Kendra and her campaign for the City Council. She is absolutely an energizer bunny for this area too. I can't even begin to start on all the things she's done. But
which seat are you running?
District 4, Peggy Lehman's seat.
Oh right,
Okay.
She's term limited, right?
Yeah, she's finished.
It's not until 2015, so we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. Although
just because you all are here and you've been so kind to come out, I just wanted to get her name out there. Up and coming.
And on the table, there's some little flyers I made. We're having an informational meeting about coyotes. So for those of you who are terrified because they're eating dogs and cats, please grab one. It's going to be at TJ on the 30th.
Yeah. So, all right. So without further ado, Owen is going to talk for about 10 minutes and then kind of just open it up for questions. And Owen Perkins,
right,
the next State House representative for House District.
Yay!
I've got my timer going, and we'll blare at me in 10 minutes, so I tend to go too long. And probably the fact that I didn't really get around to preparing anything specific for today will lead me to be longer than I should. But I want to start by thanking Nancy and John for having us over to their house, which is a great setting, a great neighborhood. I know I'd love to have people introduce themselves really quickly. Maybe we could do that. Just go around real quickly and say what neighborhood you're from. And
after your 10 minutes.
After my 10 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we do the questions, we'll do that. But it was great walking around this neighborhood with Nancy over very different times, but especially this last time. I noticed one of the things, I've walked so many miles for other candidates and other issues and knocked so many doors, and I notice a different response when I'm the candidate. And it was interesting. I was at a great meeting last night of the Colorado Women's Progressive Movement, just across the University at the Unity Church. And one of the elected officials talked about one of the things that she enjoyed so much about being elected was the access that she had to so much, so many opportunities and so much opportunity to make a difference, but the access, and she described it as access. And I felt in some ways the same thing, but for me, the access that I've really enjoyed is the access to people's front door and the access to people from our community all the way through the community. And I've been walking every corner of the district, and I'll pass around a map of our district. We're down right here tonight so very near the southern edge, which is the county line for Denver. And this is 20th up here, Colorado over here, and that one precinct that Gordon's in, east of Colorado, Santa Fe on the west. Downing is this narrower border, and Broadway, one edge of that narrower border, but you can look around at the map. But I've been going to every corner of that and finding people everywhere I go who have never had somebody knock on their door, you know, an elected official or a candidate. And if they have had somebody knock, it's often, they tell me it's been Ken Gordon or Andrew Romanoff. I'm very proud to be in their company at somebody's doorstep. But it is just a fantastic experience to get out there and hear from so many people and to make sure that so many voices are heard. And I hope I can make those voices heard at the Capitol. I hope I can bring those voices to the Capitol and represent you and represent all those folks in every corner of our district very well at the Capitol. It's very easy for us to lose sight of all the people that are represented, especially in Denver, which has such safe districts that once somebody wins here, they never really need to feel challenged again. And depending on the person, they may not go out and make that effort to knock doors again and to be in touch with every person. You know, at this stage of the campaign, we're kind of gearing up to caucus, and I hope you all will go to your caucuses. Everybody is welcome. Any registered Democrat can go and vote in their caucus and be elected a delegate to the Assembly if they'd like to. And at the Assembly, that's where we'll determine and vote who gets on the ballot for the primary ballot. So I hope you, if you're supportive of me, I hope you'll take that step and help me out in that way. And the last time we had a caucus, 325 people went in 2012. There was nothing contested, so it's not surprising that it's small. And it would be smart for me to focus on those 325 people, or maybe, you know, expand it by 4 or so if you include people who've gone to recent caucuses. But my instinct isn't to be smart like that. My instinct is to be, you know, reaching all the people and trying to get everybody engaged and trying to get everybody's voice heard. You know, one of my real aims in everything I do is to try and make sure that the most vulnerable people in our society and those who, you know, have the least representation and have the least power are those that we think about first and we act for first, and that, you know, I'm trying to give a voice to those who may not have had a voice otherwise and who may not have been heard in our district or in Denver. Was that
2B and this is 2A?
Oh, okay, sorry. So to quickly try to go through some of the issues that are most important to me, and I want to take your questions. I don't want to talk too long at you, but I'd be happy to answer anything that you've got, and I can certainly try. But the things that are at the top of my list, and I'll just give you a little background on myself in perspective with those different areas. Environment is probably my biggest issue and always has been. It's how I got involved in anything active in my community beyond, you know, my family. It started with my family, and it's how I got to Colorado, was coming out to a wilderness camp as a kid. And I've just been fortunate enough to have a big influence of people who love the outdoors and who appreciate our environment playing a role in my life, and it developed this sense of caring about what's around me, including my community, you know, man-made and natural. So that's probably the biggest issue for me. And I've been, you know, some of the people in the room here today, I know through my work in environmental activism. And climate change more recently has been something that's at the top of my list and should be, I believe, at the top of Coloradans' concerns. We have outgrown our resources in the West, and I know that it's something that people who live here care about, and it's something that when I knock on doors, it's one of the top 3 things people talk about to me that's on their minds. But it's not something we act about as often. And I'd like to take, you know, my lifetime of commitment to environmental issues and passion about environmental issues and turn that into action at the Capitol and be a champion for Colorado. I feel like we're at ground zero in a vulnerable climate where the climate change issues affect us quicker than they do a lot of other people. We're in a dry climate, a climate susceptible to drought. We see the chain effect of wildfires and now floods, you know, that naturally are much worse. All these things are increased by climate change. But I won't dwell too much on any one issue for right now, but that's a little bit about how I came in to political activism. Another big issue for me is education, and that also comes naturally from my background. Both my parents were teachers, and that afforded me summer vacation, the chance to get into the environment. Having two parents who were teachers, we could get away for months. But I was a teacher for about half of my career, and education is one of the most important issues to me. You know, and these are also issues, I mean, part of what I hope you can see, those of you who are familiar with my work in the district, is that I have put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and I have acted on the things I care about. You know, I've tried to present educational forums on climate change and on education, and tried to get out information. I was a big proponent learning about, trying to educate people on Amendment 66, feeling conflicted on it for various reasons, but trying to push it through and trying to work on it, and trying more than anything to educate people about it. And I wanted people to make an informed vote on Amendment 66, however they chose to come out. If they could be informed about that, I'd be happy. I wasn't happy with the result, and we have a lot of work to do to get Colorado up to speed on education. You know, I think Denver folks have some conflicted feelings of looking at different sides of the fences and feeling a big divide among Denver Democrats on education issues. But it's something that, it's one of the places where I do try, certainly not to straddle the fence and not to play both sides of it, but to be something of a bridge and to use my experience and my insight and my, you know, part of it comes from my career as a journalist, my desire to know and to learn and to get to the bottom of things, rather than to magnetically leap to an extreme that we all too often, I think, are drawn to extremes these days. And I try to do that with all the issues that I'm working on. So education is something where I'm hoping I can help bridge that divide in Denver and throughout Colorado and help get us moving forward. To give us, you know, we're 49th in funding and not a whole lot better in output in Colorado. We have a well-educated state, but people are getting educated elsewhere. So I'd like to turn that around for sure. That's a major issue. And the other big thing that I'll talk about with one other issue that wraps everything up, but is healthcare. And that's something that I've also done a lot of work on. A lot of my local work, and more recently, has been, you know, I think really took off when I started working on healthcare, and that's a perfect example these days. I've got a fantastic forum that I'm barely announcing now, but it's trying to bring together all those who agree with me that universal healthcare is the goal, but have different visions on the path to universal health care. Oh my goodness, okay. So I'll wrap up but in a minute or two. But trying to bring those conflicting visions, what are often conflicting visions, and get them together and get people talking. There's been a little bit of divide lately about people I care about a lot. I worked a lot with Irene Aguilar, who's a great champion of healthcare, our senator and who represents us right here and most of House District 2. Worked with her as her communications director and campaign manager at the Capitol for 2 years, and certainly a lot of effort into presenting an idea for a healthcare cooperative and something that everybody in Colorado could invest in and be a part of and get everybody insured, because even with Obamacare, I believe we end up with 800,000 still uninsured. Now, she used to be the president of Healthcare for All Colorado, and they've diverged a little bit because Healthcare for All Colorado is pretty pure on the issue of single payer. So they're having a tough time talking right now. Well, I've got Irene and the president of Healthcare for All Colorado, Nathan Wilkes, coming together at this forum, along with T.R. Reed, who a lot of you know, lives nearby here in the district, a great journalist and filmmaker and thinker on healthcare, and Patty Fontenot, who's the executive director of the Colorado Health Exchange. So I couldn't have asked for a better panel. Those were my top 4 choices, and they all said yes. So it's a grand slam panel coming up February 4th. It should be at DU, but we're still finalizing the details on that. So I've got a flyer on it and look for details. But that's, you know, all those things, education, healthcare, environment, those are issues where you can see what I've been doing on it as a regular person. as a citizen, and I believe, citizen is one of the highest ranks you can hold, and I believe in citizen government, and so I'm very eager to take that ethic that I've had as a citizen and as a member of the district, like everybody here, and bring that to the Capitol to represent you all. The last issue that ties it all together is campaign finance, and when I kicked off my campaign, I was amazed to have Ken Gordon there to kick it off for me and to introduce my whole campaign and to talk about the broken tool of our policy, the way we achieve policy in our society with this broken tool of politics and government, and the fact that everything you want, whatever it is that's most important to you, you can't have right now because of this broken tool, and because if it's health care, if it's education, if it's climate change, if it's big issue that's obvious to see locally is the gun issue, but all these issues are being our local voices, our individual voices are being drowned out by special interests, and to me it's so important that we don't let that happen, that we don't let our voices be drowned out, that we don't give up our republic, and that we don't give up what makes America great, but we maintain the fight, the idealistic fight, to keep a government of the people, and that's a big part of why I called my committee People for Perkins, because it's a real people-centered campaign and a people-centered approach to politics, and I'm so glad that you all are here, and I hope you can join me on that. I do have, on that note, I do have some envelopes there if anybody wants to contribute. I don't take PAC money or any special interest money, so I have to work a little bit harder to get individuals engaged and feeling that ownership of that it's our voices that are going to be heard at our government and our capital. But I do appreciate you all taking part in it tonight, and I'll shut up now and see if you've got any questions. And yeah, we'll go to Diane.
I think they should have to introduce themselves.
We'll introduce each other, and those who don't get introduced with a question, we'll introduce you when we're done.
Okay. Diane